Okay, welcome to Lesson 16, Advanced Part 2 Answers. Okay, right. Remember the logic of your story. I've said this many times, but I keep saying it because it's important we remember. The logic is key to feeling confident and delivering a good answer. The task bullet points are really a guide to help you with your logic. You don't have to follow them, but it's good for you in the planning stage. They usually follow a similar pattern and they help you in your preparation stage. Let's start with a real question and train ourselves from here. Typical question type about an art or drama class. Could really be about any class. So, describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. So let's think about this. Describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. Think for a moment. Describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. What's the question asking? What is the topic really about? Well, it's about a class in school or university, okay? It could be an extra class in the summer or weekends. An art class could be painting or drawing or sculpture or even dance. Drama could be performance, theatre, acting. You attended a past event any time in the past. So that's breaking the question down. It's very obvious, I know, but that's the way you have to think when you're reading your topic question. Describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. So, the bullet points might be something like this. What the class was, why you attended it, what you did there, and who taught the class. They're probably a variation of these kind of bullet points. What the class was, why you attended it, what you did there, and who taught the class. So, a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. A very memorable class that I took part in was a drama class. A workshop, actually. During a summer camp I attended with some schoolmates about 3 years ago. We did lots of warm-up acting exercises and activities. Then, at the end of the class, we performed in a short play. At first, I was really shy, but as the class went on, I became really confident. The teacher was an American woman who was very flamboyant and enthusiastic. She was inspiring, and I feel I learnt a lot about acting and drama. I definitely recommend this to anyone. Drama is very interesting, creative, and fun for people of all ages. Wow, that's a good answer. Might be a little bit short, but it's a good rounded answer. So, part 2, what the class was. Let's break it down. Types of class. Simple and clear. So, when you're asked about a class, you might want to say what the type of class was. Phrases and collocations for class activities are quite common, but make sure you get them right. They depend on the type of class. An academic class, a math and science lesson, an arts and drama lesson or class or workshop, a sports or physical activities lesson, a workshop. Types of class, these are more advanced phrases that you might want to add. Arts-based subjects. So some subjects are arts-based and some are science-based. STEM subjects. We call these STEM subjects science, technology, engineering, mathematics. STEM subjects. Seminars. A seminar is a guided discussion in a group, usually guided by a student or a teacher. Elective course. A course of lessons which you choose. A required course. A course of lessons that you have to do. For example, say you're studying history. An elective course might be the history of ancient South Pacific island culture. A required course might be 21st century political history. You might have to study that module, that group of lessons, but you may choose other lessons like South Pacific Ancient Island History or African Tribal History from Western Africa, or etc., etc. So some courses you can choose and some are obligatory in that subject. So required courses and elective courses. A lab or laboratory class, a science class which takes place in a laboratory, a lab, especially chemistry where physical experiments are done. So use your imagination and think of a class that you think that you have done that you find interesting. Try and explain what kind of subject it is, what kind of class it was, what kind of course it fit into, and where it took place, if that's interesting. A lab, a sports field, etc. Examples, classes and subjects. These are additional phrases that you might find useful. So I'm now putting the vocabulary I just showed you into a context. It's very important to do this. Always practice the language in context. Most of my university friends are studying STEM subjects. Last month we attended an interesting talk on space technology by a China space scientist. My university is famous for arts-based subjects, so there are regular seminars and workshops about drama, literature and visual arts. I'm studying psychology, and one of my elective courses is the history of child psychology. Physical science classes in the labs are fascinating. I love doing experiments. See these phrases, they're really good, high-scoring phrases. It's not complex language, but it's correct language, correct grammar, and collocated, put together into really good phrases. These are great phrases, actually, if you're asked about any kind of class. In, again, part 1, 2, or 3 of the test. I'm giving you stuff which is very flexible. Don't just think I can only use this in part 2. You can use it whenever this subject or question type comes up or you want to guide the conversation in this direction. So, part 2, task continued, bullet point 2, when you attended it and why. Describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school, what the class was, when you attended it and why. Time expressions. Get the prepositions right. Look at what I said. A very memorable class I took part in was a drama class. A workshop, actually, during a summer camp I attended with some schoolmates about 3 years ago. Great sentence for a few reasons. I'll start from the top here, because I really like this sentence. Again, although it's simple, a very memorable class I took part in. Great lexical chunk. Remember it. A very memorable class I took part in. If something is memorable, it's usually something you remember for positive reasons. A very memorable class I took part in was. Don't forget this word. Was, not is, was. A memorable class I took part in was a drama class, was a science class, was a physical education lesson, was a drama class. A workshop, actually. Now notice when we say this other clause, we go pause, extra phrase, pause, because it's an additional thought. I'm adding a thought. It's a good trick to make you sound really native. A workshop, actually. A workshop, actually. See, I'm rising my tone and falling. A workshop, actually. A workshop, actually. During a summer camp I attended with some schoolmates. Again, tense, was, attended, took part in. Get this parallel, get the tenses matching. Or it suddenly stops you going over a 6, certainly stops you getting to a 7 or beyond. So, I attended with some schoolmates about 3 years ago. So, focus now on the time expressions. During a summer camp, about 3 years ago. Nice, simple expressions, but they're correct. In 1995, in winter, in January, during the summer, a summer school, the holidays. Last year, last month, last week, about 6 years ago, just the other day, a short time ago, at around 7 p.m. last Monday, in the morning. Just some examples, but get them right. So you can take this sentence and you can change the prepositions and the time expressions around, change the nature of the class, and you've got a great sentence you can use in many parts of the test if you're asked about a class. So, get the tenses right, please. I took part in an interesting music workshop in summer 2015. There is one class I remember well, present tense, because you're remembering a class in the past. A drama class at university a few years ago. It was in my first year of university. There was this fantastic class that our history teacher gave us based on a film. That's a very colloquial expression. There was this fantastic class. There was this great. There was this. It's kind of a very native way of talking about something. The this makes it feel closer to us because we're talking about a story or a memory. There was this boy in school who she really loved. There was this fantastic teacher I remember. There was this amazing car outside. I couldn't believe it. It was such a beautiful car. There was this incredible car parked outside. I couldn't concentrate on the class because I kept looking out of the window. There was this. This is about something that you feel a little bit close to. So, one class that comes immediately to mind is a class we all attended in the final year of high school. One which comes immediately to mind. So I say is because I'm pulling it to mind now. One class that comes immediately to mind is a class that we all attended in the final year of high school. And then we move into it was, because then we're describing the events in the past. I recall a fascinating biology class in school about 10 years ago. So we see here that feel the use of tenses correctly. But if you're talking about something in the past, try and go for that past tense. Right, so part 2, what you did there. Bullet point 3, what you did there. Describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. Describe what you did there. Right, so we did lots of warm-up acting exercises and activities. Then, at the end of the class, we performed a short play. Very simple, but a fantastic sentence. We did lots of warm-up acting exercises and activities. Then, at the end of the class, we performed in a short play. So, warm-up activities. These can be for any type of class. You warm up before doing the full activity. Group work, working in groups. Project work, working on a longer project. Work in pairs or pair work. A brainstorm session. A class presentation. Performance at the end of the class or lesson. A debate. So think about what you did there and these different kinds of activities. These are activities here we're talking about. What do you do in these activities? You did group work, you did project work, you had a debate, there was a class presentation. Just think about how we would use these and what you did in the actual class. So other vocabulary for working with others. Very useful to talk about working with others. The teacher organised a class debate. The class was divided into teams. The class was divided into teams by the teacher, I guess. We all separated into small groups. The teacher put us in pairs and we had 20 minutes to prepare a task or a presentation or a performance. In the class we watched a film and were asked to then discuss it in pairs, then feed back to the whole class. Notice I'm signposting very clearly because when you're stringing a story together, especially in the past, you have to signpost and connect the ideas together so it's really, really clear to the person who's listening. In the class, we watched a film and we were asked to then discuss it in pairs. Then feedback to the whole class. These thens and ands are really important in English because they tell the listener exactly where they are in the story and who's doing what. Especially in English, these are very important. It was very interesting interactive workshop. It was a very interesting interactive workshop. 2 adjectives there, remember? Dun, 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 dun. An interesting interactive workshop. Has a rhythm. Improves your fluency and pronunciation. We all had to cooperate to get the task done. We all had to cooperate to get the task done. So, these are great phrases again. Think about how you can flexibly use these to describe classes which were memorable or interesting to you. Task, class activities. Think of different things you do in a class. Think of classes in your middle school, high school, and in university. Think of classes you enjoyed. Write an example of 2 activities you did in each class. 1 for middle school, 2 for high school, 3 for university. Pause the video and do this. Make yourself do it, because then you're bringing your ideas from your own experience into the world, and it will be easier then to speak better English. Art and drama. Let's talk a bit more about art and drama. Art. You just need to use a few basic art-related phrases correctly. We obviously don't need a long, complicated vocabulary about art. Here's some examples. Pay attention to the words in bold. In school, we studied visual arts, which include illustration, fine art, and sculpture. Some visual arts syllabuses also include photography and graphic design. History of art classes cover art from the periods from the time of the Romans right up to the current day or the present day. The study of architecture and even jewellery, furniture and fashion is usually included in history of art curriculums. So these are general statements that are really, really useful. Can you see some really good art language here? Again, not just used on its own, but flexibly put into correct, great-sounding, high-scoring sentences. Listen to this slide again, I would, and repeat and memorize these phrases. Subject in a curriculum. We studied subject, which includes sub-subjects. Now, when I say sub-subjects, I mean the subjects within the subject. You'll see when I give you some more examples. We took part in the type of class, which covers sub-subjects. Subject covers sub-subjects. The study of sub-subjects is usually included in the subject curriculum. That sounds strange, I know, but when we look at examples, you'll see what I mean. I'm just giving you the formula, really. So, introducing and connecting ideas like a native. So, we studied plus subject, which includes plus sub-subjects. We studied dance, which included or includes ballet, Latin dancing, and traditional Chinese dance. I am studying art, which includes painting, sculpture, and photography. So see how we can do this. See how we can say what sub-subjects were included in the subject that we are studying, or the class. We took part in, which covered, just a different way of saying. We took part in a music workshop, which covered learning about the history of music and playing some simple tunes on the piano and the clarinet. Note, which covered plus verb ing, because it's an activity. So, the study of sub-subjects is usually included in big subject. The study of astronomy is usually included in the physics curriculum. So the study of the stars and the planets, astronomy, is usually included in the physics curriculum. Note, we say the physics curriculum because the refers to the curriculum. We, however, say physics. We don't say the physics, the chemistry. We say physics. The reason this is the definite article, is referring to curriculum, the physics curriculum. So remember this. It's a small detail, but people do get this wrong, and it does stop you getting beyond that 6.5 to the 7 and beyond. Right, drama classes and phrases. We studied performance arts, which basically includes singing, dancing, acting, and playing musical instruments. The most interesting aspect of drama, for me, is theatre acting, stage acting. However, a number of my friends are more into music, playing live music in a band. My sister is really into dancing, mainly ballet, but she also can dance various forms of Latin dances like salsa. So see again, pay attention to how I'm pausing and stressing certain words. I'm not speaking quickly, but it's perfect pace, and it makes my pronunciation come to the front. I'll get a higher score for pronunciation because of this as well. So, describing activities in general now. Use adjective and adjective phrases. I keep saying this because it's a really good way to get a good score. How would you use adjectives to describe these sports? Mountain biking. How would you describe that? Hiking on the Great Wall with a group of friends. Driving a go-kart or motor racing. Playing basketball in a competitive tournament. Running a city marathon or a long-distance race. So think about the different activities and how you might describe them. Describing activities. Let's look at 4 activities and how I might choose to describe them with adjectives. Mountain biking. Challenging, tiring, exhausting, rigorous. Hiking on the Great Wall. Refreshing, invigorating, inspiring, breathtaking. The views can be described as breathtaking. Go-kart racing, exhilarating, thrilling, exciting, nerve-wracking, intense. Playing basketball, motivating, rewarding, exciting, team-building, stimulating. See, this table is great. These are not really complicated adjectives, but they're really good to use to describe these kind of sports. If there's any you don't know the meaning of, look them up. Write sentences with these adjectives. You don't need complicated words, but you do need to use them, and you need to use adjectives correctly. So, example phrases. It was an incredibly exciting experience. Taking part in the tournament was challenging and exhilarating. Exhilarating is like exciting plus motivating at the same time. Very exciting, in fact. Competing in the go-kart race was pretty nerve-wracking. Nerve-wracking is something that makes you feel a bit scared or nervous. Was pretty nerve-wracking, but highly stimulating and intense. The workshop featured team-working activities, team building or team-working activities, and encouraged cooperating with others. The Great Wall Winter Walk was rigorous. Rigorous is kind of tough and intense and a bit difficult. And invigorating. Invigorating is challenging, but somehow makes you feel physically strong and physically motivated. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Don't confuse the ed and the ing ending adjectives. We've talked about this before. The experience was thrilling. I felt thrilled. So the quality of the activity or experience or object and how you feel. The experience was thrilling. I felt thrilled. Motor racing is really exciting. It made me feel very excited to watch the race. Tennis is really tiring. It makes me feel tired whenever I play tennis. The activity or experience versus how you feel or felt. Get the ending right, otherwise, again, it'll keep you at the 6th level. You won't go further. So, how you felt at first, then how you felt after a time. This is a really good way to get some good language out and get a higher score. At first, I was really shy, but as the class went on, I became really confident. Because remember, we don't always have the same feeling all the time, especially with something new. At first, I was really shy, but as the class went on, I became really confident. Native speakers often mention how they felt at first and how their attitude and feeling changed. At first I felt, adjective of feeling. After a while I got used to it and felt, adjectives of feeling. But as time went on, I began to feel, adjective of feeling. Adjectives of feeling for experiences. So think about how you might use these adjectives below. At first I felt nervous, apprehensive, unsure, uncertain, confused, lost, embarrassed, excited, thrilled, really enthusiastic. After a while I began to feel more confident, comfortable, engaged with it, energized, exhilarated, stimulated, bored, unenthusiastic, discouraged. Great adjectives. Again, memorize these and put them in phrases, then memorize the phrases. Verb expressions. Read these candidates' descriptions of the class below. When I first started playing basketball, I felt nervous and not very confident. Then, after I got to grips with it, I started to feel really enthusiastic. In the drama workshop, at first I felt quite shy, unsure and apprehensive. But when I got into it, I thought it was a great experience and I learned a lot. Look again. When I first started playing basketball, I felt nervous and not very confident. Then, after I got to grips with it, great phrasal verb, idiomatic expression there. It's very common. It's not a strange idiomatic expression. It's a common one, to get to grips with something. After I got to grips with it, I started to feel really enthusiastic. In the drama workshop, at first, I felt quite shy, unsure and apprehensive. But when I got into it, I thought it was a great experience and I learnt a lot. You can use these constructions and these particular phrasal verbs in many, many, many IELTS questions, answers, and they will score you high. So, note the verb expressions again, and to get to grips with something. Prepositions are important. To get used to something. To get into something. To become confident at doing something. To start to feel enthusiastic about something. To get engaged in something. So get these prepositions right, these phrases right, use them, put them in sentences, especially if you're describing how you felt in the beginning and then how you felt about something after a time. Part 2, bullet points, final bullet point, who taught the class? Describe a time when you attended an art or drama class in school. Describe who taught the class. Now, describing a person again can be something that you choose to mention because you feel like it. Remember, you can mention things which are not in the bullet points. It will not affect your score. In actual fact, your score will probably be higher. The bullet points are only a guide. So it's really good in any part of the test to be able to describe people, because most things we do in life involve other people. So, describing a person, 3 steps. The teacher was an American woman who was very flamboyant and enthusiastic. Great adjective. Flamboyant is someone who has lots of energy and positivity. She was very flamboyant and enthusiastic. She was inspiring, and I feel I learnt a lot about acting and drama. So we've got flamboyant, enthusiastic, inspiring, rich use of adjectives. We're getting a high score here. Who it was, their personality, how they made you feel. 3 steps. The teacher was an American woman. She was a woman. She was American. You could say she was a young American woman or an old American woman, but anyway, who it was, gender, age, nationality maybe, if it's relevant. Personality described, she was flamboyant and enthusiastic. Who was very flamboyant, relative clause here. An American woman who was very flamboyant and enthusiastic. 3, how they made you feel. She was inspiring. And I feel I learnt a lot about acting and drama. So, 3 steps to describing a person. Who they are, or who they were, who it was in this case, personality, how they made you feel. Remember these 3 steps, put them together, write your own sentences. Relative clause structure is good to get right. The teacher was an American woman who was very flamboyant and enthusiastic. Other examples. The instructor was an older Swedish man who was very strict and serious. The lecturer was an Australian professor in his 60s who was incredibly amusing and entertaining. The coach was a strong, handsome Canadian in his 30s who was very skillful and professional. Brilliant native speaker sentences, got some nice adjectives, a nice relative clause, and notice we've added in his 60s, in his 30s. So you've got some nice phrases in there as well. So how they made you feel. People make you feel different. They make you feel different ways. He was so strict, he made me feel nervous and scared of making mistakes. She was so kind and calm. She made me feel encouraged and confident about trying my best to speak out in class. He was very funny and entertaining. He always made us feel really positive and happy to be in class. She was really knowledgeable and passionate about the subject. She made us feel really inspired. So, again, see how we use it. He made me feel. She made me feel. He always made us feel. She made us feel. A time when you attended an art or drama class in school. Pay attention to my speech, rate and chunking. Right. A very memorable class that I took part in was a drama class. A workshop, actually, during a summer camp I attended with some schoolmates about 3 years ago. We did lots of warm-up acting exercises and activities. Then at the end of the class, we performed in a short play. At first, I was really shy, but as the class went on, I became really confident. The teacher was an American woman who was very flamboyant and enthusiastic. She was inspiring, and I feel I learned a lot about acting and drama. I definitely recommend this to anyone. Drama is very interesting, creative, and fun for people of all ages. So now, go and write lots of examples yourself. Make yourself do this. It's the only way to get good. Think about different classes or workshops or sessions. Note them all down, what they involved. Using the lexis from this lesson, write your own phrases. Check your sentences and phrases. Say them out loud a lot. Record them. Listen to your own pronunciation. Criticize yourself. Correct yourself. Really listen to yourself. Okay. Task. Take this class or lesson template. Make some notes, again, on a piece of paper. What the class was. Why you attended it. What you did there in the class. What actual things did you do and who taught it. Make some notes. First begin with notes, not sentences. Get those ideas down. Note down the language you want to use and then build from there. So, use the template to plan answers to these Part 2 questions. I would like you to describe an interesting lesson you learnt a lot from. So that's one topic. I'd like you to describe a sports day or an event that you took part in. I'd like you to describe a workshop or summer camp activity that you found boring. Use advanced high-scoring collocations and lexis that we've learnt in this lesson. I've given you a lot, actually. Write these 3 different Part 2s. Plan them using my template. Write them out. Scrutinize them. Check your answers. Correct them. Record them. This language in this lesson could be used for many different types of Part 2 question. As you can see, we've got a lesson, a sports day, a summer camp. These are different things. But you're using the same language and structures. Okay. Reminder, the study tip. Go back over these several times. Note down key language points and phrases. Pause my video. Complete the tasks I ask you to do. Make time for personal study as well. Practice everything you learn in the context of writing down and repeating real answers to real questions. Right. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next lesson.